Every November, the Las Vegas Convention Center fills 1.2 million square feet of floor space with thousands of exhibiting companies. It draws over 161,000 people from 140 countries. The automotive trade reads this enormous gathering, the Sema show, as the year's largest parts market. This diagram shows the specialty equipment market reached $51.8 billion in 2022, rapidly outpacing the standard automotive sector's 4 to 5% growth. Isolating the data to pickup trucks reveals a staggering metric. 49% of late-model pickups are modified. Half of an entire vehicle segment leaves the showroom and gets immediately corrected by its owner. The rest of the feedback methods the automotive industry pays for are cheap for the respondent. Clinics, surveys, and focus groups ask people to have an opinion about an object they do not own, in a room they will soon leave. The aftermarket asks consumers to spend their own money after the initial purchase, having actually lived with the vehicle. It is a time-stamped, itemized, and publicly funded design critique. Yet almost nobody inside a design studio treats this floor as actual research. Look at the categories consuming that convention floor. You see wheels, tires, suspension, ride height, lighting, and exhaust. Car tuning is consistently divided along these exact, highly visible lines. Now look at what is absent. Nothing on that massive floor moves a wheelbase. Nothing shifts a cowl point, changes a roof arc, or alters a glasshouse shape. The discipline categorizes these as hard points. They are the structural skeleton of the vehicle, dictating the geometry that every other engineering team inherits. The timeline for these structural decisions closes remarkably early. The design of the Peugeot 206, for example, was fixed exactly 6 months after project approval. It then took 34 months to reach production. Nearly 3 years passed between the shape being settled and the first customer laying eyes on it. The aftermarket provides the loudest feedback signal the industry produces, but it arrives years after the decisions worth changing have been sealed in steel. You can pave a desire path, you cannot pave a wheelbase. Reading aftermarket sales as a simple preference ranking is a mistake. What people modify is not necessarily what they most wanted to change. It is strictly what they are permitted to change. The absence of a category on the show floor is not evidence of contentment. The distribution of spending is simply a map of the remaining degrees of freedom, censored by irreversibility. That silence is architectural. The automakers did notice the billions of dollars being spent. Their response was to sell the critique back to the consumer. Mopar, Toyota Racing Development, and Ford Performance all run shops that fit customer-chosen parts before the vehicle is even delivered. Commercially, this works perfectly. A catalog successfully converts a structural complaint into fresh revenue. Strategically, it is a listening failure. Revenue is not a signal about form. Once the manufacturer sells the customer a fix, the financial correction is absorbed, and the actual diagnosis of the original design is entirely lost. This dynamic is fully realized at the Battle of the Builders, where hundreds of entrants compete across modification categories, judged by the finalists themselves. Every single entrant in that competition began from somebody else's frozen decisions. The winning vehicle represents what a person managed to achieve strictly inside the margin another engineering team left them years earlier. This forces a shift in how we view the design director at day zero. The useful question during a concept review is not guessing what owners will eventually want to bolt onto the car. The question is, which of these architectural decisions are you deliberately leaving open to them, and which are you locking away permanently? Every established hardpoint is a physical sentence you are writing on someone else's behalf. If half of your customers are going to modify your product, you need to know whether they are building on a foundation you left them or simply fighting against something they had to settle for. Design decisions are cheap as a sketch, brutal once tooled. See every angle before you build.